Hey everybody, what's up? It is Wednesday, the 23rd of July. It's going on 6:30 in the evening. I'm back home on my condo. I just got done with a 30-minute treadmill. It's my evening workout. Came home a little late today. It's been a busy week. A lot of reports due, a lot of meetings. Yesterday was a board meeting. Another meeting in the afternoon. Today's fraud committee meeting, and just really a lot going on. Trying to wrap things up. You know, we've got the end of year projections, and we're starting to really implement our budget cut. Well, at least that I thought. So I got into an argument today with my boss about this. It looks like the plan is slightly changing. And I said, I'm not responsible. I gave the numbers. I have the budget cut targets. We made a plan, and now some of it's getting slightly changed. And you guys are playing with fire. You want to keep staff longer. You're just hurting the budget for next year. And I said, I'm not responsible. He goes, yeah, I'm responsible. I said, I don't think you understand. Next year you're probably going to forget and blame it all on me. So it's just, it's the end of the week. We're in the midweek of 22, week 22. We have 22 weeks left in the year. Really it's probably about 18. I know I keep saying that, but I have to keep telling myself it's the only way I can get through. I would really love it to be shorter, but I don't think they're going to let me go sooner. I'd be happy if we did, but we're not. The guy who's going to upgrade into my position, he's really scared. He told me today he's very nervous. He's scared about the responsibility, and it's ironic because I felt very unappreciated by the team for 8 years, and no complaint. I'm not salty about it. I wish it could have been better, but and I really think they underestimated what I do, and I think he's starting to realize how much responsibility there is. It's not even the technical side of the work. It's dealing with people who changing plans, not understanding budgets, and that's the hardest part. I got to be tough. I got into my boss's face today about it, saying, "Do you understand the decision that you're making here?" I said, and I'm not responsible. Yeah, I'm responsible. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna blame me the day after I leave. I know it. That's why I'm making sure everything's minuted. I'm repeating the same thing, same message. Board meeting yesterday, I repeated the same message. The longer you delay, the longer you protract laying people off. This is our budget cut target. If you don't do that, you're gonna start eating into next year's budget. And I wash my hands, and I make sure it's in the minutes. But again, I know that it doesn't matter. I was just telling another director today, that won't even matter. That it's in the minutes. It will be, there's no accountability. So that was another thing we were talking about. We lost funding because of a very poor decision by someone, and the director dismissed it. Well, the team needs to come around him and, support him. I'm like, he's the leader. He's the one that made that decision. He made that decision on his own. Well, he just feels sick about it now. I'm like, well, he should. This is going to cost 3 people's jobs now, just because of one stupid mistake. Anyway, this isn't really what I wanted to talk about, but it's really fresh. I'm looking forward. Tomorrow's my last day in the office, and then I go to Laos. I'll be working from Laos for 3 weeks. It's gonna 3 weeks. Oh, thank God! And it will be at a time when there's not a lot to do, because all the reports will be done. But we're looking forward to this break. What I wanted to talk about really was so Ozzy Osbourne just died yesterday. I woke up to that news this morning. Kind of mixed feelings about it. Because, he's iconic, and I talked about this the other week, and I grew up a metalhead. I wasn't an Ozzy Osbourne fan, not even a Black Sabbath fan. I only got into Black Sabbath in my 30s, and I preferred Giant Randy James Dio. But anyway, I know Black Sabbath, I know Ozzy, and they really started the metal genre, the dark metal, and so there is something special about him. But it just really, I'm torn on it because if my preference is metal, if I listen to music, but I don't anymore. And I grew up, 30 years of listening to metal since I got hooked on when I was 15. But it's really hard because, he was the self-proclaimed Prince of Darkness. And he just had a final concert a couple weeks ago called "In the Beginning" or "Back to the Beginning." I only watched clips of it, because I do want to be careful with what I listen to and what I let into my mind. I'm doing a renewing of my mind. I'm trying to stay better Christian by the renewing of my mind, and I have to be careful with music, and especially heavy metal music, because I can get drawn into it. I remember the lyrics, I know the tune, I know it all. Not so much Ozzy, but still, so he, I saw clips of the videos of his concert, and he, in one point he's saying, "Get your GD hands up, get your GD hands up," and then at the end he's like, God bless you, and he's sitting on a throne with demons, a big shape of a demon. A lot of the songs are satanic, especially the Black Sabbath songs. Except my favorite song, War Pigs, is not satanic. It's a political song. I think it's very deep. They did have some deep music, but he's up there. He always denied being a Satanist. I think he is Catholic. I just saw a video of someone saying, he said he was a believer. He believed, but that still doesn't cut it, because the Bible says that even the demons believe and shudder at the name of Jesus. So it doesn't matter. You can believe in Jesus, but that doesn't make you saved. And that's really what it comes down to. We cannot tell his heart. We don't know what happened, but I'd be very curious to see his judgment. He's got to, and this was another thing I was thinking about, just the whole rock and roll scene. So you see all these rock bands coming back and doing these tours from rock bands that I liked when I was younger. I wasn't a big Motley Crue fan, but some of the songs were okay. I never saw them in concert. I would have liked to see them in concert when they were in their heyday, but they're doing a tour and they sound like crap. But all of these guys, they're dressing up and they're trying to relive what they were when they're teens and 20s and 30s. And it's just like, I saw somewhere where they said, rock and roll keeps you young. And I'm like, I think it's more like rock and roll keeps you immature, because these guys don't grow up. They're trying to live that rock and roll lifestyle, and I think about it, when I was a kid, most of the people I knew wanted to be a rock star, and I would even say I wanted that up until my 30s. Maybe in my 40s, I just imagine me playing guitar. I can't sing. I used to be able to sing, but I can't. I lost my tone. I'm tone deaf. And so, so I wanted to be a rock star. That was what we wanted to be when we were younger. And now I'm like, they never get to grow up. They never grow up. The only band I would say I see grown up and still rocking is Metallica. I see a lot of maturity in how they present themselves, how they perform. You can see it in their shows. They're much more mature, even though they're playing music from when they were younger. They just look mature, and they're acting more mature. But these other guys are trying to relive their heyday and their youth when they were young, dumb, and full of it, and not growing up. Just acting young, just acting like they're young and stupid and wild and crazy. Like, especially Motley Crue, there's no sense of any kind of maturity there. And it's just an observation. I'm not trying to pass judgment. It's just an observation. And I'm like, I wouldn't want to be in those shoes anymore. They've got an image that they developed 30 years ago and now they're stuck with that image, and they're trying to stay in that image. It's just you just see no growth, you know. And you're when you're 50s and 60s jumping around like a monkey on stage, like you're crazy, man. And it's like you know, you got to grow up. And maybe you don't have to grow up. Some of you might say you don't have to grow up, but it doesn't make sense to me to stay in that mindset and to be just to stay that just to try and live up to something that you shouldn't be doing anymore. I don't, like, again, I just saw some video of J-Lo performing. She's dry grinding on stage. She's like 60 years old. There's no, what are you doing? You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too old, but I don't feel like that. You know, I feel very young. I feel very energetic. I feel like I can't believe I'm in early retirement age. I can't believe it. You know, I'm not even ready to retire, but I am. I still feel very youthful and stuff, but I feel like I have better things to do now, more important things that impact and things that have meaning, and not just kind of party, you know. Anyway, so I just wanted to touch on that. I don't know where Ozzy is, where he's going to be in judgment with God. He's having his judgment now, and yeah, it's just really hard to see him go. You know, the concert, you could tell he was. When you hear the original, I think when all the clips were coming out, man, they made his voice sound powerful. And now I think the more videos that come out where it's really showing how he could barely get out of tune. Although he kept the lyrics, he knew the lyrics. Can you imagine singing the same song for 30 years? That's the other thing that I was thinking about being in a band. I mean, a lot of these groups are singing, you know, they were one-hit wonders, or, you know, just had a couple hits, and singing the same song night after night for 30 or 40 years. I think I would go crazy. I hear a song and it loops in my head, you know, once. It gets stuck in my head and I can't get it out. And that drives me mad. You know, so these guys actually singing these songs every night. I think that's one thing I'm glad that I didn't go into be a band. You know, you just have that one hit, and then that's your whole show, and you're trying to make a living off of that. I have seen I'm aware of some musicians that no names come to mind yet. They kind of went away gracefully and just kind of moved on. But yeah, just thinking of that, and just sad, you know, just, you know, it reminds me of mortality. You know, he was only 75 years old, and stage 5 Parkinson's, and, you know, that's only 20 years older than me. This is my motivation to stop working, and I don't want to be somewhere I don't want to be in my last half of my years. You know, I could be 5, 10, 15 more years. Anyway, this is getting long. All right, I'm already at 15 minutes. Yeah, just another quick update. Met with the pastor yesterday. We're planning our wedding. There was a lot more to it than when I thought. So we confirmed the date, and we went through some of the liturgy. I had to know some of the lines in Thai. We want our whole service is going to be in Thai. Almost everybody there is going to be Thai. There's only one person I might invite who's not Thai. Well, there'll be some Lao people, but the whole service is going to be in Thai. And we've got to have the number of people coming. We've got to get a coordinator. He said we really then you need a worship leader. We're going to have someone who's going to lead the people, the audience, and stay in a couple songs. We need the organist. Got to book him. I just confirmed him today, the church organist. He's really good, beautiful singer, guy from Nigeria. I would have loved. There was a lady from South Africa. Her voice was like an angel, and she just left. I would have loved to have her there for the music. Such a gorgeous voice. Oh my gosh. But she just left. I didn't really know her personally. And then so we're gonna hire. We're not going to hire, but we'll probably have to pay this person. Someone in the church to help coordinate the songs, coordinate the chorus leader, and he said we need a welcome committee. We're going to need like a kid or two to throw flowers if we want to do that. Again, those are our options, I suppose. We got to get a picture of ourselves blown up to put up front. We got to get a wedding album. So I wrote all this stuff down. He's going to send it to me. But yeah, we're going to have to get on that when we get back. Already got her dress, which was I'll probably just wear the suit that I have. I have no interest in buying anything new just for this. If the worst case scenario, I'd rather rent a nicer suit if my suit isn't enough. And if Dad doesn't like it, then I'll rent something. I'm not buying anything. No way. So just for one event. I don't know why people would buy a dress. Well, even when she's renting, my sister said she could have had one made for that amount. I mean, it's outrageous. Almost $1,000 to rent this wedding dress. It's gorgeous. But for one day, Dad says she likes the cotton. But it's a pretty dress. Anyway, this is the one she wanted. So yeah, we got to get some of this other stuff organized when we get back. The biggest issue is paying everything, how much we have to pay up front, because it's cash flow. I'll have the money at the end of December, but I need the money before then. That's the hard part. To pay, you probably have to pay deposits and everything. So yeah, well, looking forward to that. I'll do some video on the train, on the way to the train, on our trip to Nong Khai, and then crossing the border, and then back home. And Friday morning I have a meeting, but I'll be in work tomorrow. Have a couple of things. I have to get some reports done, conclude some stuff with the other staff, and then come home early enough to eat and head to the train. All right, everybody, take care. God bless. You remember, life is short. Make sure you're doing what you love to do. Be with the people you want to be with, and yeah, God bless. I mean, really, when you see life is coming, life is so short. How wouldn't you want to be prepared for the best opportunity? How could you not think there's something more afterwards? So yeah, this death and these things. Oh, the other thing that happened this week is really tragic. This issue with this CEO and having an affair, being caught public at a Coldplay concert. Really awful. Just we don't know the whole story. I mean, the guy's been villainized. The HR manager, what do they call her? The people officer, head of people officer, some stupid thing. HR is a waste anyway. Sorry if you're on HR. HR is a waste department. It's just, HR is not your friend, and colleagues are not your friends. You have to treat colleagues like they're business partners. I made this mistake. Here I go off on another tangent. I made this mistake, and I still make the mistake. I talk to colleagues. You get kind of close. You share some things you probably shouldn't share. Complaining about this person, that person, or this thing and that thing in the office. You really need to be careful, because people in the office will turn on you, and they will, if they can get ahead, and use you as a stepping stone, they will. There's only been a few exceptions in my career where I would say, we were really truly friends. But I've got a couple cases at work that I think boundaries were crossed with friendships, and it wasn't my intention, because I try to keep the boundaries. But I don't want to be a cold a-hole to people. But you start warming up, and then you start sharing some things, and you get complaining, and then you're bitching and moaning about this and that, and you don't know if they turn on you, use stuff against you. I've seen that's happened already with me. But I trip on my own. I speak. I share too much. I'm too vulnerable when I want to speak the truth. I want to say what I know, but I know I probably overdo it, and it's not wise. It's a learned lesson. Treat your colleagues as if they are business partners. Do not treat them like they are friends. They are not your friends. They are not your family. And when it comes down to it, fisticuffs, they will throw you under the bus. Most people will throw you under the bus. It's those exceptions that won't. I've known a few of them, but be careful. Anyway, so back to this Coldplay thing. So the other, just the downside of this, you just saw this. It was corruption. It's corruption with the head of the CEO having an affair with an HR manager who's supposed to be upholding ethics. Right kind of in the open. I mean, they were in the open. They didn't even hide it. I mean, how bold could you have been to be there, like in public like that? And then they implicated a colleague. On top of that, she's there. Just awful, So they're going to be some investigations. I don't know about her wife. I feel bad that if this is how she found out. I feel bad for the kids. If this is how they found out, they're romanticizing that this wife was some strong hero. She might be, but she may not be. Maybe they've had a very troubled marriage. Maybe she is an evil wife. We don't know. But they just villainized one person, destroyed his life. Well, he did it to himself. He's responsible for that. And this is another thing. Sins won't go unseen. God says He will overturn. He will shed the light on everything. One day we're going to have all of us are going to have the spotlight on us for what we've done and what we tried to hide. But we can't hide from God. And they just were an actual physical evidence of that. They got brazen, they got bold and arrogant, and their pride destroyed their lives. Neither one of them, it's going to be a long time probably till anybody trusts either one of them, or all three. And that the assistant probably got pulled into it, thinking she was just going along. This is where another thing I see when I get older. I'm less, I'm more vocal, and I'm much more stubborn and confident about what I say and what I stand and what I share at the office. Just today I respectfully, very strongly expressed my opinion and disagreement with the director, but I said it with authority, and he didn't get angry. He got a little defensive, but he didn't get angry. He took it like a man. He took it like a grown-up, and said, "I'll take responsibility for it." I said, "All right, let's hope you will." I said, "I say my piece. You make the decision. You're responsible if you don't take my warning, because that's what I'm doing. I'm shooting warnings here with the finances." But anyway, back to this guy. Just destroyed families, if it wasn't destroyed already. I mean, he was already having affairs, so there's probably other stuff going on. We don't know. But it's just hard. It's just, that's the thing I hate about the internet. They just want to destroy people, destroy lives. They're just out to destroy. It's just so vicious. Someone likened the internet to the wild ocean. The ocean doesn't care if you're man, woman, married, single. You go swimming in the ocean, you're up against the ocean, and the ocean will do with you what it wants to do, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, and that's what the internet is. It's a wild, wild west ocean. They will either love you or they will hate you. Anyway, I don't mean to touch on any toes. These are my opinions. These are ramblings of a lunatic transitioning into retirement. This is Choice at Winding Down Chronicles of a expat going into retirement. This session is probably a chronicle in and of itself that I will post independently of any other clips, because I just rambled a lot about some very specific things deep on my heart. And God bless. Take care, everybody, and take it slow.